What's up, nerds? I'm Ben.
I'm Ryan.
And we saw Endgame today, and it feels really, really weird.
It does.
But we're going to talk about it in spoilerific detail.
Yes, it is. And it's going to happen right now.
Let's do it.
If you love movies and you love talking about them, make sure you hit that subscribe button and become part of our notification squad by hitting the bell. And if you dig our content, make sure you give the video a like. This is your last warning. If you haven't seen the movie yet, we highly recommend you do so, because this is a spoiler talk. We are going to let go of every single spoiler from this movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, stop what you're doing, push stop on this video and go out and see Avengers Endgame, because right now we're talking everything spoilers.
Yes, man, I don't know where to start with this. Perhaps first of all, did this film live up to the hype that was generated for you personally? Do you think it did?
I put out an Instagram post the night before saying how much I wasn't actually hyped for this movie. I was excited and stuff, but not since Star Wars Celebration happened. All my excitement went to Star Wars. Like I was super pumped for the new trailer to come out, all the new talk, The Mandalorian. All my hype was there, and I'd kind of forgotten that, you know, Endgame was happening in less than a week and a half. And so, yeah, the night before, I had my ticket, I was ready to go, but just wasn't that excited. I wasn't that anticipated for, you know, the movie. But then I saw it. Leaving the theater, I wanted to see it again. It's probably the most excited I've been for a movie in a long time. My hype levels were through the roof. That movie was a mental.
Same. I felt absolutely pummeled by this film in a different way from Infinity War. And I think that is probably the best thing about it, is that this doesn't feel like Infinity War Part 2. This is like its own movie. It's got a completely different feel. Yeah. It's much more emotional. It's probably, even though there's like epic battle scenes in this, I think it's less action orientated, a bit more character driven. And if you love these characters, there's those great scenes where they just basically just talk to each other.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm thinking maybe we should just break it down by acts and talk about it in that way, right? So
that sounds good.
So Act 1, right?
Yep.
It's quite a long, slow kind of act. I don't think there's any action until, I don't know, like over an hour into the film.
Just speaking about the first sequence of the movie, starting off the movie with Hawkeye's character and seeing what happens to his family and where that goes. I had no idea that was going to start like that, and I never would have suspected the movie to start like that.
I wasn't even ready for it. It came on, and I thought, oh, is this like a prologue, like short film or something?
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize, and I think they're actually shortening obviously in Australian cinemas, there's like a pre-show. My pre-show was like, 10, 15 minutes. Usually they blow up to like 20, 25 minutes sometimes. I think they just want to maximize. They know that it's 3 hours long.
Yep.
So it just started, and people were still munching away on the popcorn and stuff and talking amongst themselves, and it was like the cold open of that moment, and that set the tone for the whole first act.
Completely, and it gave a really good outline for where Jeremy Renner was going to go in that movie. I think seeing him later on as Ronin, you just got it. Like it having that little opening and seeing how he lost his family, I was right there with him, and there was I wanted to kill everybody else that didn't. There was a piece of shit essentially in the universe that's still alive that made it past the snap. They deserve to die.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't think anyone could have predicted that Tony was going to come home so soon into the film.
No.
We thought that was going to be kind of stretched out a bit longer. But
yeah.
It's just, that's the Russo brothers do that really well. Like, you're expecting one thing and they just condense those moments so much, and your expectations. Like I don't think anyone was expecting that this film would do a 5-year time jump.
No.
Within the first half an hour,
But going before the time jump, I need to talk about the Thanos sequence that happens there. I mean, that basically is essentially what everyone was feeling, I think, before. When Infinity War ended, I think every single person in the cinema was just like, that motherfucker came in to Earth and slaughtered everyone and then just left. Let's go fucking kick his ass, and I think Captain America says it best. Let's go get the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's the epitome of like what everyone's thinking.
Opening titles, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's really what Avengers Endgame should have been called. Avengers, let's go get this son of a bitch.
Yeah, and he's quite sad looking when they find him. He's all scarred and shit.
Yeah,
he's just kind of is just happy for death to come to him.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just there's not many blockbusters that would have the balls to start out like that, where your lead villain gets decapitated in the first like 15 minutes, and the audience is thinking, oh yeah, we're in for like a little battle here, and it just doesn't happen.
No.
That's what I mean. The Russo brothers just defying expectations.
That's it.
Flipping it around, plot lines that you normally see in these kind of movies, doing it in a completely different way. And you can hear the audience at different points in this movie reacting exactly how they want them to react. They're going, oh, You would never have predicted that's how the story was going to go.
No, not for
and
even
then
half
and
a
then
second.
the first act sort of continues on from that point, and it's almost like, I don't know, it's very somber. They're all dealing with grief in kind of different ways.
Yep.
And who would have thought that Ant-Man would be the one to come up with this genius plan?
Yeah, to bring it all together. I felt like they kind of gave Scott more intelligence in this movie. Like, I felt like he's almost like a dumb character leading up to these films, and then here he's like, I'm a science wizard, let's deal with this, let's go back in time, I've worked this out in my head, this all works. So it was really cool to kind of see him actually have a really big part in the film, and he's like the smallest character, like literally I think storyline and how he's progressed throughout the films, he's almost the smallest character, and he's almost become the biggest part in Endgame.
I mean, and obviously, like, both him and Hawkeye beefed up massively from the last movie, because obviously they weren't present at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised by that as well. Paul Rudd actually has, in the first half of the film anyway, he definitely has a lot of lines in there. Some funny lines. Love the Back to the Future references.
So many Back to the Future references.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget that Alan Silvestri composed the music for this. And there's definitely moments where you can hear those little sounds in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, surprisingly, he's the character that actually drives the plot forward into that second act.
Yeah.
So then we kind of get into the second act stuff, and that seems to be, well, as one of the characters says, it's almost like a time heist.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is.
That's it, yeah.
And obviously, this is one thing that a lot of fans already kind of predicted, that we would go Back to the Future 2 style, revisit events from previous films, but the way they do it is really cool. They all get together in a room, and they kind of work out at what point the stones are in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, which I really enjoyed. That was a really cool moment. And I think that scene in particular was really different for the MCU. It really gave a different personality to this film, I think. Doing a little bit of time travel set it apart from the rest of the films. And it was really interesting the way they did it, and seeing certain characters at a certain time, and then also their future selves being in the same room with them. That sequence towards the end of the first Avengers happening again in this film was pretty funny.
I think a lot of people are already talking and saying that their favourite scene in the film is the New York scene, when obviously they've got the scepter, they're taking the elevator down from Stark Tower, and the Hulk is forced to take the stairs. And you've got some great moments, you've got like Loki being the god of mischief, and obviously you've got Cap versus Cap.
Yeah.
And one of my favourite line in the whole movie is like, I could do this all day. It's like, I know.
You were going to say, when he beat his ass and he's like, that is America's
sexy ass. But I think that's so inventive, and like, it's quite a serious movie, but that little section there, I think, is where it has the most fun.
And I think that's something that the Russo brothers do well, that they, and I think where Joss Whedon himself kind of fails. Joss Whedon pulls off the comedic tones and the pop culture references, perfectly. But where he struggles, I think, for me, is the action. But the Russo brothers pull everything together. They even pull in the drama, the emotion, everything. So that's why I think these guys work better than Joss Whedon. So it was cool to see all that come together in this movie. Yeah.
I was getting my mind was hurting a little bit when we kind of get to the end of that second act, and obviously we realize, Thanos is obviously still in this timeline. There's two nebulas going on. Then it gets a little complicated, and then I'm like, my brain's hurting right now. What does this even mean? So I kind of didn't think that Nebula would play such a big role in this film, but she does.
Yeah, I think originally you could kind of see her character going down that route. I mean, she was a bad character to begin with, a villain, and then kind of progressed, especially in Infinity War, to become that good character that wanted to take out her dad. And then, so, I mean, putting her in the movie as a bigger role like that, you kind of had to see that it was going to turn bad. But yeah, for me, I didn't see it at all either. Like, I never expected it to happen. So it was again, something that the Russo brothers do well is again, they twist every expectation around for you not to expect it.
Actually, I just remembered another awesome moment is the revisiting the Guardians of the Galaxy opening credits. Except this time we cut to
War Machine.
War Machine. They're just like, so he's an idiot then. Just singing to himself. I mean, the way they like, I'm not sure if how much of that was taken from the original footage and how much it was reshot, but it's kind of seamless the way they do that.
It's perfect. I mean, it's good that they're working with such a cast that they can keep getting back again, and that's where older films had issues. I mean, like especially with Back to the Future, they couldn't get Crispin Glover again, so he was just a different actor completely.
Do they chuck a Crispin Glover with Natalie Portman? She never says anything.
No, see, I think Natalie Portman, her shots were from Thor.
From the actual film, right?
Thor Dark World, and so they just kind of made that work, where she got out of bed. That was the only shot really you saw of her, was getting out of the bed, and then cutting back to Rocket. Yeah. So I think that shot of her getting out of bed was actually just from.
And then, they kind of pull it back. They don't feature absolutely everyone. So we don't see, like, Idris Elba, we don't see Tony Hopkins. There's certain characters that we don't see, but the ones we do see, like Thor has that really nice moment with his mom, and you're just seeing characters you never realized you'd ever see again.
Yeah, well, I think there's certain characters they probably wanted to kill off and really keep them dead, and Helmdale, Idris Elba died obviously in Infinity War, right? So if they bring him back or suggest that he's in the past again, and that's probably a fan theory that it's going to come out that he's going to come back. Yeah. Whereas probably Idris Elba's, I reckon he's done with the MCU at this point. So
yeah, the only other acceptance to that, obviously, Gamora is one that's kind of like, as soon as she came back on screen, you're already thinking to yourself, okay, is this one? They said dead means dead this time, but does it actually matter if it's Gamora and she's past Gamora? I don't know. But
that's timeline Gamora is dead, but they can always bring back past one.
Yeah. And then I got fooled into thinking like they had all the stones, they were back there. I'm like, what's Nebula gonna do? Did you think that Thanos was gonna bring like his entire army back through?
No, I didn't see that at all. I think that was the best part of the whole movie for me, was again the Russo brothers defying expectation, and I just thought the last sequence was going to be the OG Avengers versus Thanos again, exactly what we got in Infinity War, minus the characters that dusted.
Yeah,
and seeing that kind of just turn around and just seeing like fucking hell, all the characters coming out of those portals. Like, I welled up. I was like, holy shit, this is it. This is the biggest moment that's probably ever happened in any Avengers film. If that's not the top Avengers, like, if there's ever top 10 and that's not the top one in any top 10 of MCU moments, then y'all can suck a dick, because that is the greatest moment probably on film for me.
We probably shouldn't brush over a certain character's death, right?
No, Black Widow. Okay, so obviously Black Widow essentially commits suicide, sacrifices herself to keep Hawkeye alive and help the human race, and she throws out the tagline for the movie that everything is at stake, and whatever it takes to beat Thanos. And that moment was kind of cool, because as a fan of Scarlett Johansson just in general, because she's a mega babe, and wanting her to continue on the MCU, I was happy for Hawkeye to die. Personally, I didn't care. But I guess
he's a good-looking guy with a new haircut.
Yeah, not for me.
Like, no one mentioned the haircut at all in the whole movie.
I liked the haircut.
Just one line from something. Maybe his wife, just like at the funeral or something, or just to lighten the mood. She's just like,
oh shit,
what's with the hair?
Yeah, I mean, do the superheroes in this movie? Do they have an Eldner where they go to and get their costumes made? I mean, where do all the heroes get their costumes made?
We just always presume that Stark was responsible for.
Right. I mean, is
most
he sitting there with his pad and drawing out sketches of people's costumes, or is it kind of like how he does the time machine halfway through the movie and it's all done by the computer, and it's kind of like, oh, I did it. That's Cap's new costume.
I mean, presumably he went into a barber and he's just like.
Give me the badass.
He's just like pointed at a picture of like someone from the Lost Boys, and he's just like, I want that.
Yeah, badass haircut and blonde. That's it. But anyway, I was kind of rooting for Hawkeye to die, but I guess for his character to, progress and give him a final takeout with him meeting back up with his family, then he couldn't have.
I feel like if he survived Age of Ultron, he'll survive anything, because. They were preparing you so much for his death in that movie, and it just never happened. So it's kind of like, and I guess the third act, he gets a little lost. It's all about like everyone else, which is fine. But I've got to be honest with you, I actually forgot about all the characters that have been dusted through most of this movie. By the time this third act rolls around, I'm finally remembering, holy shit, like Black Panther and Spider-Man, all these other guys are going to show up. And sure enough, they do in what I would compare to a Lord of the Rings moment. You know, Gandalf and his army riding up. The sun.
Nothing on that.
It's even
Gandalf
down
the White. That's what you're talking about.
Even down to like, you know, this is the end of the Battle of Helm's Deep I'm talking about here. When the sun rises and there's the army there and they come charging in. It's there was similarities, I thought.
Fair enough. It's not on the scale. I think like that's cool and all, but I think the thing with that was. I mean, I don't want to go into Lord of the Rings, but essentially I wasn't expecting, obviously, him to come back, whereas this one, you're kind of thinking, how are they going to bring them back? Because in Lord of the Rings, as a viewer, I assumed that he was dead once he fell down with the, what's that thing called? So we're doing a fucking tension.
The Balrog.
Yeah, the Balrog.
A demon of the underworld. His foe is beyond any of you. Fly, you fools. That's
for the longest time I thought it was run, you fools. Idiot.
I did too. I think everyone made that mistake. But I think, that moment is kind of like, you know, if you saw a piece of concept art for this film, that would have been what they would show you. It's just like all of the characters. I remember like Anthony Mackie saying in an interview like a couple of years back, he's like, at one point in this film, there'll be like 30 characters fighting at the one time, and it didn't happen in Infinity War. So you're kind of waiting to see that scene, or if he was lying, and it turns out he wasn't lying. I actually think there's points where I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to look at. When the battle starts happening, I kind of think, in terms of scale, that was amazing to look at. But in terms of action beats, I think the four-way battle between Tony and Thor and Captain America and Thanos, I think that's the highlight in terms of just hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it kind of toned down what was happening on the outer skirts of them with all the big superheroes kind of taking on. But I think for me, just seeing all those superheroes on one screen at one time was just mind-boggling. It was insane the way they did it, and the way that everyone came out, the way that Cap, took on the Thor's hammer, the Mjolnir, and just yelled out,
"That's it!
Avengers assemble!" It's just like, oh shit, this is it, this is happening, and
it's like a show-stopping moment. And I think like there's various points in this that fans would probably tear up. I think that might be one of them for me.
That was the welling moment.
I think for you that was the Avengers Assemble line.
Yeah.
For me, it was kind of like, I think the hug that Tony and Spider-Man share. That was definitely emotional.
Yeah.
And then just those moments when Cap, earlier on when his shield's just getting destroyed, and you're just like, oh man, this could be it for Cap. Like those kind of moments, you just like, just knowing the journey that the characters have been on to get to that point. And
also that you kind of think that some of these characters are going to die. Is this their moment? This is them. This is how they're going to bite the dust. And then, obviously, again, Russo brothers switching it around and doing the unexpected.
Well, it turns out only one character is going to die. And
technically two if you count Black Widow.
Oh, well, sorry. In the battle that ensues,
I'm with you.
It's kind of like the moment when Doctor Strange lifts up the finger. I'm like, oh, is he going to cast some crazy spell here? Or
no, he's
is
like,
Ant-Man on his finger? Or
this is the one time.
And I'm like, holy shit. I mean, let's not talk about the fact, and we've discussed this before, that, a simple spell will sever Thanos' arm straight off.
Yeah.
The gauntlet's off.
Mm-hmm.
That's done. Mm-hmm. But I guess it's still not going to solve the issue with Thanos himself. Like, he's just relentless.
Yeah, but what's he going to do? It's a left-handed, right-handed glove.
But he's just like...
How's he going to flick a switch? If it's like, I'm talking logic here, right? If it's a right-hand glove, he can't put it on his left hand and flick his fingers.
I'm trying to give the Russos the benefit of the doubt here. Are you still saying that if they severed his arm, that would have solved everything?
There's nothing they can... Well, because the glove isn't... It's a glove. You fucked yourself with the glove. If it comes off, it's off. There's nothing you can do. You can't put it on the other hand. Like, it would be back to front, not only that, but you can't twist the fingers because the way it's created the other way, right? So it's stuck going this way. So why is it's logical, but it's just like it's the way it is. It can't go this way, right?
So I'm not saying that I want to rob Tony of this heroically awesome moment here, but why is he the only one that's able to de-gauntlet Thanos or trick him?
I mean, one of my favorite parts was the moment that you saw Captain Marvel jump, and you just thought, well, obviously this is how it's going to roll. She's going to kick his ass. She's going to get the glove off. Yeah, all right, let it happen. And then she gets her ass whooped. And you're like, holy shit, she just got her ass whooped. What are they going to do now? And then, Iron Man jumps in, and that's
all the angry fanboys need out there. Just a reason to hate Captain Marvel more.
Well, I mean, I don't hate her. She's fine. It's just, she's a bit cranky sometimes.
No, but so I think it's good that happens, and Captain Marvel doesn't turn out to be the one to defeat Thanos.
No, I agree.
Because that's exactly what people have predicted would happen.
Yeah. That's why she's in the posters. That's why she's shown up. That's why they had the movie before it. She's obviously there to kick someone's ass. And
still don't know why she's got the new haircut. There's a lot of new haircuts.
It had to be matched to the comics. They had to get it close to the comics. She also had a new sash on her costume. The costume had changed since the 5-year.
She's one of a line of people who it's kind of like there's the real theme here with either shaving yourself or changing your hair in this movie.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what they're trying to say with that, but it's an epic battle. It ends with a very sad moment. It's kind of like a badass line, like "I am Iron Man," cut to white. And I think from that point you kind of know. As soon as Strange lifts his finger, I think you know. That
he's like,
gone.
no, holy shit, he's gonna do it. He's gonna fucking kill himself. This is it. And the inevitable happens, and he dies.
Yeah.
But that was probably the most epic way he could go out. Like if he'd just been killed off by Thanos, it would have just been like no. But he's just like it's the most emotional way that he could do it. He sacrificed himself to save the greater good and the everyone else. So doing that, I think, was probably the best way for him to go out, and for us as a audience to kind of accept it. Because if he'd just been killed, you would be like, nah, they would have brought him back. They'd bring him back in another movie. But because he sacrificed himself, he ain't coming back. That's it. He did it for that movie. If they bring him back, it's like, changing the ending of Toy Story 3, where you've given the toys to, the next girl, and, in this case, the next movie.
It felt completely earned, and like he had a great send-off. He had some great moments throughout this film. I actually think like Downey Jr. like brings his A game in this
100%,
movie.
yeah.
Like he just like that scene, when he's skinny at the start of the film and he's just like going off at Steve. I'm just like, man, that's Oscar-worthy shit right there. That's the scene you play at Oscars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and then what follows, obviously, you get the sad montage and things get wrapped up. Other movies kind of get set up with Thor going off for the Guardians, all this kind of stuff. But there's that great shot at the funeral where it's like a tracking shot of all these characters, in a row.
Yeah.
And that was another point where I'm just like, there was kids like sobbing like in pain in the cinema because I think they were still not accepting the fact that Tony Stark was gone.
Yeah, the guy next to me, like I've literally never heard a dude cry.
Was it like ugly crying?
Yeah. Yes.
Just like
that. Yeah. Whatever. If you feel that much about the movie, then that's awesome. I felt a lot for it too, but it was kind of like I kind of just wanted it to be quiet a little bit. It did a little bit. Like I was just like, it's just a character. Like I mean, I understand, I get it, but like I have nerd outs too. Like, but that was. Just keep it down a little bit and, just cry in your bag maybe, but, whatever.
And there was just, like, I love that thing of, like, as we're going through these, there were some characters in that funeral scene where people obviously didn't know who the fuck they were.
Yep.
The little kid from Iron Man 3 shows up, he's all grown up.
That was weird. Last time you saw him, he was, like, 10, and now he looks like he's early 20s.
And then Nick Fury, like, at the very back, just looking like, I don't know what expression that was. It's kind of just, like, pensive, like, not emotional.
Captain Marvel in a pantsuit.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? But yeah, look, I think it's a good send-off for Tony. It's a bit weird watching a hologram of your deceased father in front of you. Yeah. Could he not have somehow, like, left his consciousness, like, loaded into, like, in the same way that Jarvis and Friday are kind of...
Well, I think the issue there is, I mean, he wasn't expecting to die, right? And if he had done that earlier, then he wouldn't have...
That's why you got to be prepared for these things, man. Always do backups.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously the other character to get his send-off is Captain America. And I think we know, it's pretty obvious that Bucky kind of expects this to happen. Sam's a little slow to catch on. But after he disappears and he shows up on the park bench like 5 seconds later, I think you know straight away like what's happened. I mean, I actually think the Peggy thing was obvious from that first moment at the start of the film when he flips open the picture of Peggy and like, well, we know where this is heading. This has always been the love of his life. He's done, and the same with Tony. I think the character's reached the point where he's done everything he can possibly do.
I agree.
There's actually no reason why he needs to hang around. So,
no, I mean, you've got all these other heroes throughout the world. He's needed in a way, but not overly, and they can bring anybody else, around to do his job.
He's always been a man out of time anyway.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't really ever feel like he belonged there.
Yeah.
So he's got the opportunity to do so. So why doesn't he? This may be really obvious, but obviously when they go back to the 1970s, is it? And he steals the 4 flasks of pin particles.
Yeah.
What ends up happening to those?
Well, that's how he gets back in time, because he would have used, they only had 2 ways of doing it, like a forward, like going back in time and then getting back to the future.
Oh,
right?
sure.
So he went to the 1970s using his one that he would go back to the future to get, right? So then he needed another set of pin particles to get, but he took 4, I guess, to,
I'm just wondering, like, is there another pin particle thing floating around somewhere, like a vial
that could do time travel again.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got Hank Pym back in the future,
that's
right?
true.
So you could do it as much as you want. It doesn't matter. They've got time travel now.
Okay, that's true. Cut that part out.
No, don't cut that out. I think it's a valid point that probably people will be questioning.
But yeah, I think everyone in the cinema I was at was left in a bit of shock and a bit of like. But I think for the most part, I think everyone was feeling like this was the logical conclusion.
Yeah.
We end on Captain America slow dancing with his gal.
Yep.
The end credits in this, I thought they did an awesome job of giving us like a roll of all the actors in this.
Yeah, and then putting the main cast with their signature and stuff like that. Actually, when Jeremy Renner came up, for the first one, and his was the first signature to come up, I was like, why the fuck are they giving Jeremy Renner this amount of time and clout in this end credits? And then obviously it kept happening for the rest of them. But I just for a second thought they were just doing it for Jeremy Renner. And I was
Jeremy Renner.
He was Ronan and all these different things.
He's the only one that gets to autograph his signature.
I was like, maybe it's something in his contract.
And then our lovely usher came in and said, get the fuck out, guys. We've got to clean this cinema. There's no sting. Piss off.
That is the biggest joke I've ever heard.
There wasn't really a sting, but what was there?
There was. I mean, at the end, I mean, take it with what you will, but when it got to the end credits, there was I would call it a blacksmith's ding on a, on an iron. not a blacksmith dong, a blacksmith's ding.
Now we're talking about like Game of Thrones. Just Gendry gets his ding out. Yeah,
that's it. That Macy Williams scene, I can't even handle that. That was weird. Anyway,
that's for another spoiler.
It is. But yeah, it's a sound, I think, of Iron Man building his armor, and I don't think it's saying that Iron Man's coming back in another film. I think it's just saying it's another send off to Iron Man. He started the franchise with his Iron Man costume, and he's ending it. And ending it here at Phase 3. Which technically, by technicality of Spider-Man Far From Home isn't the end of Phase 3. But, it really is. They've seen it that way. They don't give a fuck what Sony's doing. But yeah, Avengers Endgame, fucking hell.
So there it is, Avengers Endgame. That was very cathartic for me, Ryan. How about you?
Oh, man. Look, it is one of the biggest and most magical movie experiences I've ever had in my life. It's good to get it out for someone to talk about it. But I want to hear what you guys think about it. So, make sure you leave some comments below so we can chat back to you guys and talk about Endgame and talk about what you guys thought about it, and even like little things that we might have missed would be really cool.
And obviously, don't forget to subscribe. You're probably getting sick of us saying it, so just bloody well do it and we won't bring it up again.
You just click the button. We wouldn't leave you alone. It's going to start getting to ransoms, and then, he's going to start taking people hostage. So at this point, just do it, all right? Just do it.
As your lawyer, I recommend against saying such things.
Oh, sorry about that.
Until next time, I'm Ben.
I'm not kidnapping people, and I'm Ryan.
And we'll see you nerds at the movies.